What it do? Bedtime crew. Hey man, listen, today I want to talk about the next couple of unannounced UFC pay-per-view cards. Obviously, we know that UFC 317 is coming up soon. Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. 318, we got, dude, it's the last dance, dude. You know what it is, dude. It's the last freaking dance, dude. We got Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier, Chimaev versus DDP. But after that, there is no pay-per-view in September. UFC Noche got moved to a fucking fight night. Congratulations, you're getting a fucking WMMA main event. And now, UFC 320 is going to be early October in Las Vegas. Today, I'm going to be building a main card that I think could realistically happen for that event. And I'm also going to be building a pay-per-view card for the end of October, which is always going to be taking place in Abu Dhabi. So I've got a bunch of fucking title fights that I think are realistically likely to happen on these cards. I've got some great fights to go on the main card, and I'm going to give some predictions and kind of my thoughts on these matchups, because I do think all of these are very likely to happen next, or I think they should happen next. All right, and you guys know me, man. I'm the best matchmaker on YouTube. I was going to put out a basic video. Oh yeah, UFC Noche should be this, UFC Paris. Fuck that, dude. I'm building generational pay-per-views over here, man. Let's get into this. UFC 320, Las Vegas, early October. I'm going to open up the card with Benoit Saint-Denis. My brother, your time has come. There's no way out of this one. We got to feed somebody to fucking Mauricio Rufy, all right? And I think that Benoit Saint-Denis, yes, he's probably going to get put on this Paris card. Why is the UFC, and correct me if this is a bad take from me, but I kind of don't like that the UFC is turning into these guys only fight once or two times a year in their location. Like they're locked to that fucking region like a Pokemon or some shit. Can we not just have badass fights everywhere? Why do I have to build a Paris card and find every single French person to ever exist in the UFC and stack the card with them? Why can I not just build a pay-per-view full of badass fights anywhere in the world? Is that not the point of the UFC? So I'm going to say, you know what, Benoit Saint-Denis? No, you don't get to main event a fucking fight night in Paris because you're from there, dude. You are going to Las Vegas and you are getting slept out cold by fucking Mauricio Rufy. That's all there is to it. There's nothing else to say. Mauricio Rufy deserves a ranked opponent. He's sleeping people. He's putting on highlight reel performances. He's got a lot of hype behind his name. He's got the Fighting Nerds plot armor. Let's put this guy in there to get rid of fucking Benoit Saint-Denis. Because otherwise, BSD's options are you get slimed out by Gamrot. I genuinely think Gamrot would piece this dude up. Okay? You get slimed out by fucking Joel Alvarez. Bro's not even trying to stay at lightweight, but the UFC is dead set on having this guy flying knee Benoit Saint-Denis out cold. I think that Mauricio Rufy versus BSD is more exciting. I think it's more easy to make for the UFC. I think you can really put some hype behind this. These guys both have high finishing rates as well. So I think that's a great fight to open up the card. Let's get BSD versus Mauricio Rufy opening up the card. Now this next one. Obviously there is a fight that we all want that was recently like one of the guys called out the other guy. I don't think it's going to happen. Okay, I think Kevin Holland is way too active to get Colby Covington next. Even though I really want to see that fight, I think Holland versus Prates is a pretty good replacement. Prates will say yes to this because he's not 40 years old trying to cherry pick one more fight to get a title shot. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong as well, Kevin Holland just tweeted he was supposed to get fight news, but then Colby turned it down. So I would say let's get Kevin Holland to fight. Let's put him in there against Carlos Prates. I think these two actually match up pretty interesting. Like, I think I've talked about this before, but dude, Prates has crazy power at 170. He has pretty good takedown defense. Kevin Holland, he has a crazy durable chin, especially at 170. We really haven't seen him rocked or dropped or anything like that. I think this is a fucking sick fight. I think people would really get behind this. I think the casuals would be going crazy over this one as well. These are two like TikTok pound for pound top 15 fucking fighters. So I think Prates versus Holland is a pretty suitable replacement for Colby Covington getting offered the fight. Dana White, hey, listen, kid, we want you to fight Kevin. Kevin Holland's a complete jobber. The guy's a complete joke of the division. The guy's record is 45-70. The guy's a complete jobber. I want to fight Bai Lau, the racist guy. Colby's not taking this shit, bro. Colby is going to sit around and try and get a fucking Masvidal rematch or Wonder Boy or somebody old. You know what I mean? I think we should just Hope that they make that fight, but more likely than not, just like when we were talking about Colby versus Shavkat, Colby versus Chimaev, Colby versus Ian Gary. Bro was scared to fight Ian Gary. I don't think he's going to accept that. I think he's going to wait around for like a short notice excuse for losing to someone young, or he's going to try and cherry pick an older matchup. I would say Prates versus Holland is more entertaining anyways, honestly. This is more intriguing to me because Kevin Holland does have a grappling advantage in terms of straight up submission ability, but he doesn't have the wrestling of Ian Gary. Like, I know that that's a funny thing to say. He doesn't have the zesty wrestling of fucking Ian Machado Ferry, but he actually does it. And I think he would be stuck on the feet with Prates, but he wouldn't get chinned. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, Kevin Holland wouldn't get chinned, in my opinion. I think Kevin Holland has such a crazy chin that it would be shocking to me if Prates knocked him out. So this would be a sick fight. I'd be really hyped to see this one. I think that's a great fight to make. Let's do Prates versus Holland. I also wouldn't be mad at like Jeff Neal versus Kevin Holland, but I think Jeff Neal should fight like Michael Morales on that UFC Noche card. That's my opinion though. All right, man. Now, featured fight of this pay-per-view. We've got some decently fun prospects. We've got Prates, we've got Kevin Holland, we've got Mauricio Rufy. These guys are going to, start off the card with some excitement, but we need some big names and we need some exciting fights to really, build this card up because I've got 2 fucking title fights in the main event of this. Featured fight of the card, Gaethje versus Hooker. Justin Rufus Gaethje. I don't know who needs to tell you this, but I'm going to be the one to do it, brother. You are not getting a title shot, man. You beat Rafael Fiziev twice. Congratulations. The Dustin Poirier win, you could have got one if you didn't fight Max Holloway, but you did, and you got slept. You got face planted by Max Holloway. You beat Rafael Fiziev again. Congratulations. You're not getting a title shot. You already agreed to fight Dan Hooker, so in my opinion, this is a fight that Justin Gaethje would accept. For whatever reason, if he ever declined this, have fun fighting back in the PFL, brother. Have fun having that retirement run fucking Bellator, kid. Because if you don't accept this fight, it just makes no sense to me. Dan Hooker's coming off a fucking layoff, but he's top 6. This is a fight that if you win this by knockout, okay, you know what? Let's give Gaethje a pity title shot. Let's give him one more chance to get finished in round 1 by the champion, dude. You know what I mean? But you're not getting one off beating Rafael Fiziev. This is a fight the fans wanted to see. This was arguably more exciting than fucking Pereira versus Big Ank in terms of like, oh my God, this fight's going to be crazy. Like, I remember people worrying for these guys' health going into this fight. That is the type of matchup that we have here. And the best part about this is if Dan Hooker wins this, right? Maybe you can give him a title shot. You could do Max Holloway versus Dan Hooker for the BMF belt if he wins this. That's where my head goes. You can do Gaethje versus Max 2 for the BMF if you don't want to give Rufus a title shot, right? There's so many possibilities with this matchup. We could get Charles Oliveira versus Dan Hooker for the BMF. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking crazy, crazy levels of shit here for this division. I think this is an exciting fight. It's a big name in Justin Gaethje. If he wins this, he's getting a title shot. If he loses, we're seeing Justin Gaethje's final fight. It's going to be a fucking war as well. Like, Dan Hooker is going to be walking towards him, trudging towards him, getting his eyes. Boys, I love this shit. You know what I mean? Like, clip farming his ass off. I think this is the fight to make it lightweight, especially because it got canceled. If this fight already happened, this division would be a lot more cooked, in my opinion. You'd have to book something weird like fucking Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett or, Gaethje versus Armin. And I just don't see fights like, Gaethje versus Gamrot. You know what I mean? Like, ugh. You'd have to book some weird fights. This just makes sense. This just feels fucking right, dude. Gaethje versus Hooker. Let's get Rufus a title shot if he wins that. I think he would win that, by the way. I know there were people picking Dan Hooker. I'm like confident Gaethje would sleep Hooker, dude. I'm confident Rufus sleeps Dan Hooker. In my opinion, Gaethje is so underrated sometimes where people act like he's this brawling bum, but it's like if you rewatch the Dustin Poirier rematch, he's making Dustin Poirier miss every shot. He KOs him inside 2 rounds. He gets rocked 1 time, but outside of that, he did piece up Dustin Poirier and KO him. So I think Gaethje really does beat Dan Hooker, and I think him versus Ilya, he would get absolutely fucking murked. Make no mistake about it. But it would be kind of exciting to see them stand in the middle. I'm just gonna be honest, bro. I know people hate on Rufus, but if he does genuinely earn a title shot, I'm not gonna be mad about it. Rufus is actually pretty good, dude. Okay. Co-main event of UFC 320. We're in Las Vegas. We've got a big card. We've got some exciting names. I'm going to put together 2 title fights here. And the first title fight in the co-main event, it should be this fight, dude. If I wake up on Instagram and I see fucking Evloev versus Picto in Abu Dhabi is real, I'm going to be upping the switch, dude. If I see Yair Rodriguez booked in a fucking title fight against fucking Volkanovski, holy shit, someone is getting spinning elbowed out cold in the gym. Whoever, bro, if anybody's at the gym and I'm there, you're getting spinning head kicked out cold. You're getting twisted out cold. I'm not letting go if you tap, bro. If Yair Rodriguez gets a title shot, don't come to school, bro. That's all I gotta say, dude. Because Volkanovski versus Evloev, this is a fucking no-brainer to me. This is more legacy for Volk. No one's gonna buy and the reason I'm putting this as co-main event is because I've got a way bigger fight ahead of this. But also, let's be real here, dude. No one's buying a pay-per-view to watch Evloev in the main event. Let's just be fucking honest here, right? No one's watching that. But co-main event, this is a huge fight. This is extremely high level. This does a lot for Volkanovski's legacy when he wins this. Because in my opinion, Evloev is the most deserving, most likely challenger that could beat Volkanovski when you look at that top 5 at featherweight. But he does no damage, right? Like he fluked Arnold Allen with a jab, you know what I mean? But outside of that, he's not going to knock out Volk. He may rock him at some point with a jab. I could see that happening. He's not going to submit Volkanovski. He's smaller than Islam Makhachev, who had a hard time taking down Volk and really controlling him for a long period of time and doing anything with him. I think Volk would fucking out-damage the shit out of Evloev. I think he'd piece him up at range. I think he'd stuff his takedowns. He'd be, I'm too fast for ya. Nah, no takedowns. Nah, I'm too fast for ya. I think that's what Volk would be on. So I think Volkanovski would win this fight. It would be entertaining. I think the scrambles and Evloev's kind of like fluky ability to randomly lock in and get a huge takedown. It would be an exciting fight. I think this is a super high level matchup. I think any real hardcore UFC fan, and I don't say that in like a dude, what? Dude, you don't want to see Evloev be champ? I don't mean it in that type of way. I mean genuinely, if you actually watch this sport, this would be a good fight. This is actually better than the prospect. Oh, yeah, he is entertaining, dude. Give him a time. Evloev actually is more entertaining because he actually fucking tries to. He's not more entertaining on paper than Yair Rodriguez, but what I mean by that is he's more competitive. Like, he'll be more competitive with Volk. This matchup is more exciting to me than Yair versus Volk. At least if it was like Zabit, I'd be like, okay, you know what? Fuck it, dude. He doesn't deserve it, but it'd be kind of entertaining. I don't think Yair Rodriguez does anything to Volk. I think Evloev can take him down at some point. I think he may rock him with the jab. I think it'd be kind of scrambly and high pace. Volk versus Evloev is the fight to make. I'm going to put that as the co-main event. And in the main event, mate, Jack Della Maddalena. Listen, let me tell you about this kid. JDM, October, Las Vegas. I believe this will happen. I believe that JDM will not only fight Islam Makhachev, he's going to fucking beat him. We will be beating Islam Makhachev. I don't care, bro. Think about it, man. Think about that Poirier fight. Do you really think Islam Makhachev looked like he could beat JDM in that fight? If you are in there, and I don't even like the narrative that, Poirier was like, Islam went life and death with Poirier. I don't really believe that, actually, rewatching that fight. But you are dealing with old man Poirier, who, let's just be objective here, right? He's shining bright like a diamond, dude, but we have to be objective. He's falling apart in the cage. He tears his knee in the cage defending takedowns. He's still able to get back up and defend takedowns and out-scramble Makhachev at some points. Hit a fucking switch on him, get back up. You know what I mean? Rip him to the body, tag him up on the feet, damage him up. You know what I mean? With a broken nose. With one of the worst first rounds there was, right? I think JDM is going to be bigger. I think he's going to be able to defend the takedowns a lot better. I think he's going to be a lot quicker. I think he's going to hit a lot harder on the feet. He's going to go to the body of Islam Makhachev. He's going to be really hard to hold down and keep down. And I think JDM beats Islam Makhachev either by decision or by late rounds TKO. Like, I really believe that, dude. I think JDM is the final form of everything we've seen from Makhachev struggling-wise against Volk and Poirier. And even some moments against fucking, like, I don't know, just random people like fucking Thiago Moises, dude. You know what I mean? I think JDM is the final form of every nightmare that Islam has had. And he's going to beat him. And he's going to get on the mic. Yeah, good fight, next one, probably, want to fight Shavkat. I think that'd be a good fight, you know. And then obviously, you know, I come in the cage, I put the belt around JDM. But listen, all jokes aside, JDM versus Islam in October, co-main event of Volk versus Evloev. You got Prates versus Holland on the card, Gaethje versus Hooker, BSD versus Rufi. That's a fucking badass card. That is an October stacked event in Las Vegas, you know, huge switch up from the Noche theme. That's just better than whatever we would have got with Noche. So that's what I think the UFC should do with that first pay-per-view in October. Let's talk about Abu Dhabi now. Okay, because Abu Dhabi cards are notoriously also stacked to the fucking brim, right? Everyone remembers where they were for UFC 280. That's all I got to say. You remember where you were with UFC 280 when it was Jan versus O'Malley, Aljo versus TJ. You know what I mean? Bilal versus Sean Brady. Bro, I dominated Sean Brady, bro. I literally broke him, bro. You know what I mean? Makhachev versus Oliveira. That shit felt like watching what Khabib versus Tony would have been. I want to stack this bitch, man. All right? And now that I've gone on this huge rant about how stacked it's going to be, I'm going to have some unranked middleweights to open up the card. Let's get Shara Bullet versus Bot Nickel. Let's just do it, man. I think now's the time to pull the trigger on this. Both these guys have had the hype kind of derailed a little bit. I think Bo Nickel wins this fight. I think if you can get taken down by Bruno Silva and fucking Antonio Tricolio, whatever the kid's name is, I think Bo Nickel can beat fucking Shara Bullet right now. I really do, man. I think Bo Nickel's going to be in Abu Dhabi. There's no berries for him to pick. There's no mountains for him to hike. He's going to be locked the fuck in. He's going to be drinking smoothies all week, hitting pads, you know, sparring around with the boys, rolling around, maybe doing a podcast episode here and there. I think genuinely, though, Bo Nickel versus Shara Bullet, that's like got some casual appeal. I think these are two names the UFC is trying to build up. One of them can get a big win on pay-per-view against another hyped up prospect. And I think regardless of what the outcome is, it's good for the UFC. And I think it's a fun fight for the fans as well. I would say Shara Bullet versus Bo Nickel is a solid opener to this card. I'm trying to be a little bit realistic as well here, right? Because that last card I built was all ranked fighters, and I know the UFC is putting fucking Justin Tarfo in the main event of a fucking pay-per-view, so I got to keep it a little bit realistic. We'll open it up with Shara Bullet versus Bo Nickel. The next fight that I want to put on this card, we're going to go to the heavyweight division, and like I said, you don't really see heavyweight fights on pay-per-view anymore because they fucking trash, right? Except when they want to put blobs opening up the main card of pay-per-view. But I think Volkov versus Jailton Almeida is a pay-per-view worthy fight. It's an intriguing matchup. You've got you've got a tall, lanky dude versus a fucking athletic heavyweight, right? Two very rare body types, very rare phenotypes in the UFC. I think that this is it's a logical matchup as well. Like, you're talking about, honestly, the two next contenders in the division. Like after Tom Aspinall, obviously Cyril Gane exists, but bro's filming fucking Paw Patrol 3 in France right now. The next two contenders up for the belt are Volkov and Almeida. That's what most people would say. And then you've got Pavlovich and Blades like in that second tier after that, where they're 1 or 2 wins away from a title shot again, right? I think Volkov versus Almeida, it makes sense. Volkov's coming off the robbery loss. You can't really give him a title shot, even though he arguably deserves it. Almeida, I don't think Gane will ever fucking accept that fight. Let's do Volkov versus Almeida. Winner of this gets a title shot. That's what I would do in the heavyweight division. And this just has Abu Dhabi vibes. Am I wrong? This just has Abu Dhabi main card vibes of a fight. You know, I don't know about you guys, but there's just some fights, you just know what card it belongs on. You just put it together, you go, yeah, that's going on MSG. That's going on Abu Dhabi. This is like Abu Dhabi vibes to the max, all right, man? Featured fight of this card, we are going to go to the welterweight division. I think Sean Brady versus Shavkat is a fucking badass fight. Shavkat, I swear to God, if this guy sits around and gets another title shot, I'm going to crash out again. It's not as bad as Yair Rodriguez. At least he has some ranked wins. He still doesn't have a top 5 win, by the way. But regardless, he has aura, dude. So what? Dude, what are you saying, man? Dude, Shavkat has aura, bro. Give him a title shot, dude. Okay? Brady, I fuck with this guy now. Okay? Because he beat Leon Edwards. But trust me, bro. If Ian Gary or fucking Shavkat Rakhmonov beat Leon Edwards, they would miraculously disappear for a year until they got a title shot. Especially Shavkat. This dude fights once a year. We got to give him his yearly fight. We're going to put him in Abu Dhabi instead of Las Vegas in December for fucking 4 years in a row. I think Brady versus Shavkat, these are the two guys that people are talking about kind of being next up after Islam Makhachev for the title shot. I know JDM, my glorious GOAT, is very excited to fight Shavkat Rakhmonov, but you have to put Brady in that conversation. So I would say Brady versus Shavkat in Abu Dhabi, featured fight of the pay-per-view. Winner of this is getting a title shot. It's a huge showcase. It's an intriguing fight. You've got two guys with very good records. Brady only has one loss. Shavkat's undefeated. Extremely high-level matchup as well. I think it's really intriguing. It could really go either way, depending on how you look at Shavkat's last couple of performances. I like this fight. I would probably lean, I don't know, because it's 3 rounds as well. I could see Brady winning this. I'm not going to lie. I might pick Sean Brady to beat Shavkat Rakhmonov. Like, I could see that happening, but it's a very intriguing fight. I'm going to put that as the featured fight of the card. Now, co-main event. We are going to get a 5-round co-main event, non-title bout. I definitely feel like we could maybe see Merab versus Corey Sandhagen on one of these cards. I just didn't want to do that. I just didn't want to waste your time with a fight we've been talking about for like a week straight. I want to mix things up a little bit. 5-round co-main event, lightweight division. Nobody talks about it. I'm going to slap around fucking posh boy Armin. Know what I mean, lad? The only thing I like about Armin is the fucking ice cream inside a donut, lads. Sounds fucking nice, lads. Armin Sarkarian needs to return from the fucking gulag in LA. Bro needs to get out of Los Angeles and get back in the cage. I think Armin Sarukian versus Paddy Pimblett is hype, dude. This is like 2, like I said, TikTok pound for pound top 15 fighters right here. But also, genuinely, in my opinion, the 2 guys I want to see fight Ilia Topuria. So one of them can earn a title shot and one of them can go back to fighting fucking Gamrot, Hooker, maybe Oliveira, you know, somebody like that, Holloway maybe. There's still big fights for the loser of this. But I think Paddy versus Armin, pull the trigger on this. If Paddy Pimblett beats Armin Sarukian, he is without a doubt the number 1 contender. Like, you can Mickey Mouse Paddy Pimblett to a title shot, definitely. You can put him in there against Justin Gaethje and make you know, Paddy win by submission or fucking split decision. Or you can actually match Paddy Pimblett up against Armin Sarukian. And the winner of this is the rightful number 1 contender, the next best guy to fight Ilia Topuria. I want to see both of these guys fight Ilia at some point. And I think this is a crazy, I don't like when the UFC turns into boxing where we can't have the best fight the best. That was like the appeal of UFC to me for such a long time. And it's kind of going away. Now it's like, oh, how do we strategize getting Armin a title shot without him fighting Paddy or, you know, Holloway or Gay? You know what I mean? Like, the UFC is kind of turning into this thing where it's like, oh, we don't want to do Paddy versus Armin. Paddy might lose. We want to do Paddy versus Gaethje so he can get a guaranteed title. Fuck that. Best versus best. That's where the hype comes from. Armin Sarukian versus Paddy Pimblett, 5-round co-main event. The winner of this will be getting a title shot January 2026 against Ilia Topuria when he beats Charles Oliveira. That's what I would do. I know maybe the UFC won't do this, but that's what I think is like a crazy high-level main event, co-main event, excuse me, and bring some hype to this division where the contenders are actually fighting the contenders. And it's not just all old guys getting beat up by these young guys, right? That's what I would do, all right? Co-main event, that's what I would do. Main event now. There is one fight that I'm pretty sure is going to headline this pay-per-view. What's the question? Yeah, we're bringing Alex Pereira out of the cryo chambers. We got to get this kid back in the title picture, dude. You probably forgot this guy fucking exists. Hey, you guys probably forgot that this division fucking exists, but Alex Pereira does still exist. Bro is still doing the Charmer Shuffle in 2025. And, bro wants his belt back from Big Ank. So I'm looking at this title picture. At first, I was going to say it'll probably be Ankalaev versus Yuri, because there was some talks that, you know, Pereira turned down a fight with Ankalaev, or, you know, he was injured or some shit like that. But then bro said he's in training camp. So I'm going to take his word for it. I'm going to say we get Ankalaev versus Pereira 2 in October in Abu Dhabi. You put the rest of those guys on the card. You've got a pretty generational pay-per-view there. And with Abu Dhabi, I think one of the biggest things you need to do with this card, the prelims need to be fucking stacked, dude. We need ranked fighters on the prelims. We need fucking potentially Umar versus Mario Batista on this card, maybe instead of one of those other fights. Maybe you get some, you know what I mean? Like, you need to stack that prelim card for an Abu Dhabi card. Let's get some Brazil versus Russia matchups again. Those are always exciting when the UFC does that, like they did on the Oliveira Makhachev card. I think that's what the UFC should do with these pay-per-views in October. I'm very excited for these events because I do think they're going to be bangers. This is what I would do with them. I'd do JDM versus Islam early October. Put Volk Evloev on that card since you're not going to go to Australia. Might as well do it in Vegas. And then late October, I would do Ankalaev versus Pereira. I'd do Armin Sarukian versus Paddy Pimblett. Or if the UFC wants to Mickey Mouse, they'll do Paddy Pimblett versus Gaethje as the co-main event. That's what I would do in October. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel, go follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Bedtime MMA. And guys, I have an announcement to make, man. I have an announcement to make, y'all. I think I'm going to bring back Bedtime FC. So for those of you that are Bedtime FC enjoyers, I've seen the comments, I've seen the DMs, I've seen the petition. What's the question? The petition? Yeah, it's at 200,000 followers. I will be bringing back Bedtime FC. I don't think I'm going to do weekly events. I'll probably just do monthly events like we were doing. But we're going to reset the champions. You guys will get to choose who is the champion of every single weight class. I'm going to give you options. I'm not going to let you make fucking Shamil Gaziev heavyweight champion. He's got to earn it. Anshul Jubilee's not going to be lightweight champion. But we will be bringing back Bedtime FC. So stay tuned for that. Go follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Keep up with all that stuff. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Drop a like. And I will see you guys in the next video, man. Goodbye.